Title: Jalen Brooks and the First Class Reckoning. In the heart of Chicago's O'Hare International Airport, Jalen Brooks moved like any other traveler. His steps steady, his expression unreadable beneath the faded hoodie that cloaked his billionaire identity. At 42, Jalen had spent 2 decades building Apex Airlines from the ground up, transforming childhood dreams into one of the most respected carriers in the skies. Today, however, he wasn't a CEO or a public figure. He was a passenger, one among many. Jalen's attire was simple: worn jeans, scuffed sneakers, a gray hoodie. Nothing about him screamed power or prestige, and that was exactly how he wanted it. He was here to experience Apex through the eyes of the everyday traveler, to assess the standards he demanded from his staff. No corporate entourage, no fanfare, just a man with a first-class ticket tucked into his pocket, printed at home like anyone else's. The terminal buzzed with life. Announcements echoed overhead. The scent of burnt coffee mingled with jet fuel, and the shuffle of luggage wheels played like a steady drumbeat beneath the chaos. Jalen weaved through it all, arriving at the first-class check-in counter where a woman in heels tapped her foot impatiently ahead of him. Behind the counter stood Vanessa Reed, a flight attendant in a navy blazer, her blonde hair tied into a tight bun, her smile bright and sharp. She handed the boarding pass to the woman ahead, Mrs. Langley, with sugary politeness, and watched her glide away. Jalen stepped forward. "Good afternoon," he said, offering a polite smile. Vanessa's demeanor shifted in an instant. Her smile vanished, her posture stiffened. She glanced at Jalen's clothes, her eyes narrowing. Without a greeting, she nodded toward the economy check-in. "Economy's that way," she snapped. Jalen remained composed. "I'm flying first class," he replied, producing the ticket. Vanessa took it with clear reluctance, squinting at the paper, her lip curling into a sneer. "This is fake," she said coldly. Before Jalen could respond, she tore the ticket in half. The pieces floated to the floor like discarded leaves. A quiet hush fell over the area as nearby travelers began to notice. "Excuse me," Jalen said, steel in his voice. "We don't let economy passengers sneak into first class," Vanessa barked. "Move along, or I'll call security." Jalen's calm didn't waver. He pulled out his phone and opened a secure app, one only Apex executives could access. On the screen, his name, his title, his ownership. Security arrived before he could speak. Officer Hargrove, burly and pale-eyed, brushed past Vanessa and sized Jalen up with immediate disdain. "What's the problem?" he grunted. Jalen showed the phone. "This proves who I am. I own Apex." Hargrove didn't even glance at it. "Put that away," Vanessa chimed in. "He's trying to scam his way into first class." And then came the words that sliced deeper than any insult. "Stay in your place, boy," Hargrove muttered. The cuffs snapped on. Cameras emerged from the crowd. Phones recorded every second as Hargrove dragged Jalen away. The man who owned every seat on that plane was being paraded like a criminal. In the bowels of the airport, Jalen sat in a holding cell, the chill of the concrete bleeding into his skin. Hargrove returned with a plastic bag containing white powder and, without hesitation, planted it in Jalen's bag. "No app's gonna save you now," he sneered. Jalen didn't flinch. He used his one call to contact Marcus Tate, his lawyer. Within the hour, Marcus stormed in with a stack of footage and a furious glint in his eye. Behind him stood a nervous Apex supervisor. "Release him," Marcus barked. "We have video." The crowd upstairs had caught it all: the torn ticket, the unjust arrest, the app. Footage flooded social media. #ApexJustice trended. The cuffs were removed. Jalen emerged into a crowd that parted for him like royalty, the air electric with outrage. But the war was just beginning. A threatening text arrived, a photo of his sister Maya at her diner. "Watch her back," the message read. Jalen's stomach dropped. He raced downtown with Marcus, only to find the diner vandalized. Windows smashed. Racial slurs sprayed across the walls. Maya shaken but unharmed. He called in private security. But that didn't stop the next hit. Health inspectors shut the diner. Then came the police. Maya was arrested for assault she never committed. Jalen fought back. He took Maya to a news station. They went live, told the truth. The public roared. Vanessa was fired. Ellis, the deputy chief and Vanessa's uncle, was exposed. But Ellis didn't go quietly. His militia torched Jalen's mansion. He He survived an ambush on Lakeshore Drive. Through it all, Jalen stayed standing. He donated millions, rebuilt Apex, cleared his name, until the final betrayal. At the Apex Gala, amid champagne and applause, a whistleblower exposed Camille Tate, Jalen's trusted VP, as the true mastermind. She had colluded with Ellis, orchestrated attacks, plotted his downfall. Jalen froze. Security seized Camille. Her confession spilled live. Jalen stood shattered. Not by racism, not by lies, but by betrayal. He'd fought the world and won. But the blade came from within. And as the cameras flashed and the lights dimmed, the war raged on. Because in a world where justice bends and power corrupts, one man's truth is never safe for long. Jalen Brooks may have reclaimed his empire, but his soul still walks the fire. In the weeks that followed Camille's arrest, Jalen went dark. No press, no posts. He moved his base of operations from Apex's downtown tower to a discreet office above Maya's rebuilt diner. His roots, his home base. There, he rebuilt not just a business, but trust. He personally oversaw Apex's new anti-discrimination training program. He launched a national fund for wrongly accused minorities. He funded legal aid for victims of systemic bias. He didn't just win back public trust, he earned it. Meanwhile, Ellis's empire collapsed from within. Additional charges mounted. Corrupt officers turned state's evidence. The Department of Justice took over Chicago's internal affairs. Vanessa, exposed again for perjury, was sentenced for obstruction. And Camille? She took a plea deal, but not before naming other insiders across industries. Her betrayal became a reckoning. Jalen stood on the tarmac of O'Hare one brisk December morning, his hoodie replaced with a pilot's jacket. Apex One, the airline's newest flagship jet, waited beside him. Maya stood by his side, smiling. "You flying it yourself?" she asked. He grinned, every inch of the way. As he climbed into the cockpit, passengers boarded behind him. Every race, every background, every story. The flight crew greeted them with equal warmth, equal respect. Vanessa's shadow was long gone. The wheels of Apex were back in motion. Justice wasn't just served. It was flown at 30,000 feet. The end,